starting to see signs of some weakening, and hopefully that will continue as it slowly sinks to the south-southeast. We're just kind of catching the tail end of some activity that was a lot rougher, believe it or not, up in the coastal bend area, up around Corpus Christi, Beeville, on up towards Victoria. This is the tail end of some of that energy that's managed to trigger enough of the moisture that we have had in our neck of the woods, and resulting in the severe level of thunderstorms. We were just anticipating general thunderstorm activities as a possibility. So this is kind of an unwelcome surprise, shall we say, and we're going to continue to monitor all of this as it slowly pushes its way towards the south and east. And it looks like, Weslaco, you're starting to probably catch a little bit of rainfall activity in your neck of the woods. The two warnings that we're dealing with right now, we don't have any flash flood watches or warning, even though we do have some very strong downpours in association with some of this to like 2 inches an hour, but the storms themselves are moving just fast enough that we're probably getting some ponding, but not reaching the flood warning levels just yet. So the initial severe thunderstorm warning is this smaller box here, and that one expires in about another, looks like 7-8 minutes, and then the larger one extending out into areas of Cameron County and a little further into Willacy County, and includes the Weslaco area and Progreso areas of Hidalgo County. That one expires at 8:30 this evening as this line of showers and thunderstorms continues to push its way. Future radar again shows how all that activity will continue to make its way slowly towards the south and east. Probably looks like now by 9:50, McAllen should be in the clear, and Edinburgh will be in the clear at that point. Elsa also, you'll be in probably clearing out in that neck of the woods. Meanwhile, Harlingen, by about 9:45, 9:50, we'll start to see some of that rain and thunderstorm activity, and that's according to our future radar that we're seeing here. Continuing to hear the chiming of our computer with some of the alerts from the National Weather Service, so I may step away from the graphic for a moment to go check on that, but we'll keep the graphics going with the radar. Lots of lightning again with the heaviest thunderstorm activity in north and eastern portions of Hidalgo County. Yeah, still very active through Edinburgh in terms of the lightning, and we had another thunderstorm that pushed to the southwest out of the La Jolla area earlier down into Mexico. And when you find yourself in a situation with the severe thunderstorms approaching and you've got that warning like we do right now, stay indoors. Don't be traveling unless you absolutely have to at this point in time. Avoid touching some of your wired and electrical devices if you can. Stay away from the windows because we're dealing with the potential for some large hail, maybe an inch or so in size, and that's strong enough to be able to break a window or two if it comes in at the right angle and hits the windows of your house, and you don't need to be hurt by some of the glass that might get broken in association with some of that type of activity. And here's the latest look at the radar with the lightning on top of it as it all continues to push its way on off towards the south and east. And as it does so, I'm going to step out of frame for a moment and go and check on the computer or in the weather center and just see what some of the latest updates are. We do have a flood advisory now that is in effect for portions of deep South Texas, including Hidalgo County. There might be some minor flooding, streets flooding that we had talked about. This is in association with the main pushes of thunderstorms, and it basically includes a good portion of the major populations of Hidalgo County. McAllen, La Jolla, Pharr, Lynn, San Manuel is included in some of this as well. So basically this indicates that enough rain has fallen in a short enough a period of time that we probably do have some ponding of water going on in some areas. And take another look here at another alert that has come in. We're continuing to see the main thunderstorm warning that continues until 8:30. We do have some fresh video to show you from South McAllen from some of the thunderstorm activity, and yeah, the tree's swaying a little bit there with some of the stronger gusty winds. Again, we've had reports of about 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and radar has indicated in some of the strongest storms that we might have had wind gusts of 60 miles an hour or more, and indications of some quarter-sized hail in association with some of the severe thunderstorm cells as well. That's all radar indicated. We haven't had any video or pictures of that coming in just yet, so no hard indicators that it's actually happened. That's just what radar has been telling us has been going on, and that's what's resulting in the severe thunderstorm warnings for now basically the eastern half of Hidalgo County and on into now the western portions of Cameron County and southwestern portions of Willacy County. Now, that severe thunderstorm warning will last until 8:30 this evening. The one further towards the west will be expiring here in about another 2.5 minutes or so. We do need some rain, and it'd be nice to see it not coming down in quite this manner, but we're getting it nonetheless. Again, the heaviest stuff, the biggest concentration of the heaviest thunderstorms right now to the north and east of the Edinburgh area. It's a little difficult to pick out with this combination of the rain and the lightning indicators there, but a lot of lightning in association with some of these thunderstorms, especially that more severe cell to the north and east of Edinburgh, as all of this is slowly pushing its way off towards the south and east. And again, stay indoors is your best bet with a severe thunderstorm warning. Avoid messing around with a lot of your electronics and stay away from your windows if you can. If you do end up in a situation where we've got some hail, some larger hail, and it breaks some windows, you don't want to be near those windows should that actually happen. The lightning, again, very active in the north and eastern portions of Hidalgo County, just northeast of Edinburgh. Yeah, Edinburgh still very active with the lightning as well. A lot less as you head further towards the south, and then that big cell still in Mexico that's pushed out of the La Jolla area. Future radar, again, showing the activity may start to approach the Harlingen area around about 9:30 or so. By then, much of the Edinburgh, McAllen, and the Delta areas should be done and over with by then, and we're hoping to see this continue to fall apart as it's pushing towards the southeast as well, becoming less severe and being more just maybe a strong thunderstorm or two. That we can deal with. The strong is not an issue. It's when we're dealing with the strong gusty winds of 60 miles an hour plus and larger hail, that's what triggers the severe thunderstorm warnings, and radar has indicated the potential for some of that in some of the cells associated with what we have going on. Again, this first box here is fixing to come to an end for the severe thunderstorm warning, but the larger box that continues on into Cameron County will continue until 8:30 this evening. That includes, as you can tell, the sliver of Willacy County as well, just to the south and west of the Raymondville area. A lot of the activity will hopefully start to come to an end a little bit before too much longer through excuse me, the Edinburgh area. It looks like already some of the thunderstorm activity there towards the end. You could tell on the lighter side of some of the rain and thunderstorm activity there. Let me grab just a real quick sip of some water here. And I will take a quick look at, okay, and we do have reports in the Weslaco area of 57 mile per hour wind gusts. So yes, indeedy. That's just under the severe level, but that is definitely strong. So we do have some official reports now coming in of some of the strong gusty winds in association with some of those thunderstorms that are passing through now the central to eastern portions of Hidalgo County, and it looks like Weslaco, you're probably starting to pick up some of the heavier rain. A lot of the heavier rains should be coming to an end here very shortly in the Edinburgh area. McAllen, moderate to heavy rainfall activity going on into the western portions of excuse me, Willacy County. Got a nice tickle going on in the throat, but all of this slowly pushing its way to the south and east, and you can almost tell it's shrinking in size a little bit. We're seeing less and less up towards the north and east, and it's becoming a little bit less severe as well. We've got a TxDOT camera now in Weslaco that we can show you. The rain has begun there, and it's not quite at the heaviest part, but you can tell it's already starting to make the roads a little bit slick looking, and traffic still, I know a lot of folks are eager to get home in this late portions of rush hour, although it is 8 o'clock, 8:01 now. So hopefully those folks are very close to being home before the heaviest rains get into that neck of the woods, because once the heaviest rains reach there, you really don't want to be driving out in that. And if you are, make sure you're slowing down a little, driving below that speed limit, giving yourself a little extra space between you and the car ahead of you. Drive courteously and cautiously, and you want to avoid any sudden movements, because you can hydroplane in a hurry, and once you do, it's very hard to regain control of your car. And the more distance you have between you and the other vehicles around you, the more room you have to be able to make some corrective moves with yourself in your vehicle and keep yourself safe as you're heading out and about. Again, not super heavy in the Weslaco area, it looks like, just yet, and that's right near Texas Avenue, looking off towards the west. There's a little flash of lightning in association with some of it. The heaviest lightning has actually been in the more northern portions of Hidalgo County, is where we've seen some of the more active lightning in association with some of this. And we'll go back to the maps and show you the latest lightning tracker that we have. If we could go back to the maps real quick, and we'll show where all that most active lightning has been. And it's starting to settle down a little bit more, it looks like. But again, it's in this area where we've seen the most active lightning with the thunderstorm, the most heaviest thunderstorm activity in this area over the last, say, 45 minutes or so. McAllen, yeah, you're still getting some fairly heavy to moderate rain there, and some frequent lightning, and again, that one thunderstorm that pushed off to the southwest. While this whole line is kind of sinking towards the southeast, a lot of these little thunderstorm cells are actually moving towards the northeast as all of this kind of winds up moving in somewhat different directions. It's a little weird, I know. Future radar continues to show that, yes, by about, let's see here, looks like 9:30 to 10 o'clock, we'll see Harlingen starting to get in on some of the rainfall activity. But by then, yeah, the whole central portions of Hidalgo County will be in the clear. Even the Delta area, Weslaco, probably won't be getting in the clear until closer to about 9:45. Progresso at that point will also be in some of the heaviest rainfall activity. Hopefully the severe aspects of these storms will be coming to an end well before that. The severe thunderstorm warning that we now have in place is this larger box now, and that is until 8:30 this evening. And that does include portions of McAllen, far all the way down to the Progresso area, on up through Edinburg, on into some of the ranchland areas of Willacy County, and then over to close towards the Harlingen area as well. So it's pretty good chunk of the valley that we've got under the severe thunderstorm warning. Again, and a lot of what we've seen so far with this has been more radar indicated in terms of the larger hail, quarter size or more, but we have gotten an official report of a 57-mile-per-hour wind gust in Weslaco just a short time ago. So there are some strong gusty winds, and we could see them 60+ miles per hour in some of the more severe cells as they begin to push through your area in association with some of this. So current radar again showing the heaviest thunderstorm activity just to the east of Edinburg. This is at least the rainfall, and off towards the northeast of Edinburg, more moderate to heavy is what's starting to push into the Weslaco area just a little bit, still holding on to a fair amount of moderate to heavy rain back in McAllen towards Mission, La Jolla. You've really settled down quite a bit compared to what you saw earlier. That's where a lot of this really started to develop, and then it just kind of spread on off towards the north and east. The first warnings were over actually towards the McCook area on into the ranch country of Starr County is where we saw the first indicators of severe weather potential, and then on up towards Kennedy County. It's slowly been pushing its way towards the south and east. So now, in a severe thunderstorm situation, you want to stay indoors. It's going to be your best bet through all of this. Now, this is the latest look at Futurecast. We'll put this in motion, and you can see Futurecast, even with these thunderstorms, has been struggling to see just what's going to be going on. But by 9 o'clock, we'll still have some thunderstorms around. I think it's going to be a little further toward the east than what Futurecast is indicating there. But then by hopefully 9:30 to 10 o'clock, a lot of this is dissipating and falling apart. And that was the original plan with a lot of this, that if we saw some of it, it would quickly fall apart as we lose the heating of the day. Remember, once the sun sets or gets lower in the horizon and starts to set a little bit more, that's when we lose the energy associated with that heating of the day that really is part of what triggers some of the thunderstorm activity that we've been seeing. Again, future radar showing how the expected movement of the current rainfall action is expected to take place over the next hour as we push into the more early nighttime hours for the Rio Grande Valley. Lightning, a lot of it. That's one of the reasons why you want to stay indoors when you're dealing with severe thunderstorms, really any thunderstorm for that matter, because it can be deceiving just how close some of this lightning is, and you don't want to be outdoors and become a victim to some of this. The heaviest lightning strike activity, again, is to the north and east of Edinburgh, and still fairly active in the McAllen area, it looks like, as well. So basically, from the Mission area on up towards east of Lynn San Manuel is the most active thunderstorm activity. The rain is moderate and quite heavy throughout much of that area. So, you know, just because it's not showing up on the lightning indicator there doesn't mean there's not rain falling. We've got a lot of rain all throughout this whole swath, and a lot of it is heavy to moderate, falling 2 inches an hour, that kind of rate, and that's going to potentially cause some ponding on roadways, maybe a little isolated pockets of some flooding. The valley is known for that. Remember, we are a flat area, and so when we get a lot of rain falling in a very short amount of time, it takes a little while for it to drain away because we don't have any of the hills, at least not in this part of the valley, to be able to help quickly drain a lot of that away. Now over in Starr County, they've got a few hills, and that helps add to some of the drain, helps it drain away a little bit more. But when you start going into Hidalgo County, Willacy County, and Cameron County, we're a lot flatter. And so when the water comes down quickly in some of these downpours, it takes it a little while for it to begin to drain away and push away. Again, looks like now we're starting to see some of the leading edges of the rain starting to push its way on in towards the Cameron and Hidalgo County line. We'll probably see some of it moving into Cameron County before too much longer. Weslaco starting to get a little bit heavier rain, and probably on up towards Edcouch and Elsa. They're in the middle of some of the heaviest rain as well. Do we still have that TxDOT camera in Weslaco? We sure do, and yeah, it is looking like it's raining a little bit heavier there now as well. Greatly appreciate the gang in the control room pulling up these TxDOT cameras for me so we can kind of track and visually see some of the showers and thunderstorms as they are moving through. Traffic is diminished quite a bit in this area, and that's good. It's nice to see people staying off the roads during some of these periods of heavy rain and thunderstorm activity. You really don't need to be out in this mess unless you absolutely have to, of course. But if you do, you want to be careful. Give yourself a little more space between you and the car ahead of you. Some nice flashes of lightning there. You want to also slow down. Go under that speed limit. The speed only intensifies any issues that might happen if you end up in a situation where you've got some hydroplaning going on. The more speed you have, the harder it is for you to regain control of your vehicle, and the more likely you are to find yourself in some sort of accident or crash situation. Okay, let's go back to the maps. Take a look at the radar again, starting to push its way closer and closer towards Raymondville. The heaviest stuff is lagging. Of course, you always have some of the lighter rain out ahead of the main band of showers and thunderstorms, and looks like probably before too much longer, the Mission Alton area will start to see their rains diminishing. Some areas of Edinburgh towards the end of the loop, you can just make it out, should be seeing their rain shower activity coming to an end as well. The severe thunderstorm warning is going to be lasting until 8:30. So we have, looks like about another 20 minutes left of this severe thunderstorm warning. If you live in that boxed area, stay indoors. If you've got some errands to run, try to put it off until tomorrow would be even best, or at least wait until this line of showers and thunderstorms either passes through or dissipates. Hopefully it's going to begin to do a combination of dissipating while it passes on through some of these areas, but stay indoors if you can. Lightning will kill, and lightning will cause a lot of problems. In storms like this, more people get injured due to lightning strikes than other issues. Avoid some of your electrical things, and then stay away from the windows if you can as well. I know we all like to go out there and peek and watch the storms, and I'm guilty of that as well. But if there's hail, especially large hail, and it's hitting your windows, you don't want to be near those windows during those periods of time. Now, outside of the hail situations, okay, it might be a little bit safer. But if you have some large hail happen to appear, and it's hitting your house and hitting some of your windows, you don't want to be involved in possibly getting cut should those windows break. Now, again, lightning, a lot of it with some of these thunderstorms. That's been one of the major concerns with some of this. The biggest batch with the heaviest thunderstorm activity still to the north and east of Edinburgh, slowly pushing its way towards Raymondville and Lyford, and also the Elsa area. McAllen's still getting quite a few looks like lightning strikes in their neck of the woods. So those are the two main areas. Future radar continues to show how by 10 o'clock, a lot of it will be pushing into Cameron County and starting to catch the tail end of things in the Weslaco area by 10 o'clock this evening. I'm hoping we're going to see what future radar is showing, because if it continues in this fashion, it's going to be an interesting night for sure for a lot of folks. But here shortly, probably in the next 30 minutes or so, most of Edinburg and McAllen will be seeing a lot of their rain shower activity really begin to taper off. Hopefully, we're going to watch this severe thunderstorm warning again is in effect until 8:30 this evening. That includes the areas of far up through Edinburg, on into areas of Willacy County, just to the west of Raymondville and just east of Harlingen, and then pushes back down to the river south of Weslaco down around the Progresso area is where we have the severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Basically, that means we could end up with a lot of frequent lightning, which we've been seeing. The strong gusty winds, 60+ miles per hour is possible with some of the more intense storms. We've had reports already of 57-mile-per-hour wind gusts in the Weslaco area. That's an official report. And radar has indicated some quarter-size hail, maybe up to an inch in some areas. That's radar indicated. We haven't gotten any confirmation of that just yet, and we haven't seen any pictures coming in yet either. And I'm hoping it's just radar indicated and we're not getting any damaging hail out of some of these storms. We don't need to be seeing that kind of activity pushing through the area. The heavy rain thunderstorms and strong gusty winds are enough to cause some issues as it is. Another look at the radar, how all the storms are slowly pushing their way towards the south and east, and at least to the southern portion of things, kind of diminishing, it looks like now, in intensity a little bit, although over towards, it looks like probably the Benson State Park, still a heavy thunderstorm there, and again to the east and northeast of Edinburg is where we see some of the heaviest rains right now. In this area, probably pushing into the Delta region as well, as we're seeing some of the heavier thunderstorms, more moderate to heavy rain starting to approach into the Weslaco area. Edinburg, hopefully you're starting to see some of your rain and thunderstorm activity coming to an end, especially in the northern and western portions of Edinburg. La Jolla too, you should be seeing your rain beginning to come to an end over towards the Palmview area. There's that other cell that pushed its way into Mexico towards the southwest. So we've seen almost kind of like a split of the thunderstorm movement in all of this as the whole line continues to push its way off towards the south and east. And you can see how it's shrinking in nature. It's not quite as long and it's not quite as wide as it was at one point. And in some cases, the wider it gets to a certain extent, it kind of spreads the energy out a little bit more. And so it becomes a little less intense in some of those situations. Futurecast again shows how we can expect to see the thunderstorms basically in the area probably until close to 9:30 or so, but hopefully they'll be diminishing in strength quite a bit as we do push later into the nighttime hours. Originally, we had expected to see some of this activity maybe flare up more so in the western part of the valley and quickly diminish before it even got into the McAllen area, but it decided to show us who's boss. And yes, looks like just east of Edinburg still we're seeing some of the heavier rains to the north and east. McAllen, more moderate to heavy rainfall activity. Weslaco too, you're starting to get into some more of the heavier rain shower activity in association with this line of thunderstorms. 15 more minutes left in the severe thunderstorm warning that encompasses this orange block area, and basically that means a lot of frequent lightning possibly that we've already seen and currently still seeing in areas to the north and east of Edinburg where a lot of the most active lightning activity has been over the last hour. And then also strong gusty winds, potentially 60+ mile per hour winds have been indicated on radar in some of the pockets of some of these thunderstorms. We've got an official indicator of so 57 mile per hour winds reported in the Weslaco area, and we do have, looks like a new box here that is a flood advisory that incorporates McAllen on over, looks like probably towards the Palmview area and includes Edinburg, because we've seen some very heavy rains in association with all of this. And I'm going to take a quick peek over at the Weather Center computer just to see what that latest box is, and it is indeed a flash flood warning in effect for that part of south central Hidalgo County until 10:15 tonight. So we may end up in some areas where some of the creeks and streams and some of the streets are probably seeing some ponding and some potential flooding in some of those areas because of some of the very heavy rainfall. The rainfall rates in some of those areas we've seen between 2 and 4 inches of rain already, and another 1 or 2 inches of rainfall are possible. So when you get 2 to 4 inches of rain in a relatively short period of time, like we've seen in some of these situations, that's a distinct possibility. And in this bluish boxed area now, that is a flash flood warning in effect for those areas, because we've seen, again, 2 to 4 inches of rain falling in a very short period of time. We do have another TxDOT camera that we can show you. This one, oh, definitely some heavy rain. Is that still in Weslaco, guys? That looks like it's still in the Weslaco area. Okay, that's what it was kind of hard to see because of the rain. And yeah, the heavier rain has finally arrived in that area, and it looks like we've got some emergency vehicles there right around Texas at the expressway there in Weslaco. Be careful, there's some flashes of lightning too, so some of the more active thunderstorm activity is pushing through the area. You can just make out some of the palm trees moving around pretty good too, with some of the strong gusty winds in association with some of these storms. Another issue that we've been seeing in some of these locations too is the electricity may go out, but the traffic lights become an issue. And so don't forget how to behave when you end up at an intersection where the traffic lights are out, and you follow the rules basically for a 4-way stop in those situations. Let's go back to the maps and take a look if we can and see what the radar is doing. We'll back up a little bit here and show you the latest radar. We'll pass right on through that, and here is the latest radar with all the lightning in association with it as well. You can see how that line continues to slowly sink its way to the south and east. It's not moving very quickly, and that's part of the problem why we have that flash flood warning in effect now for this area, is because these storms have just been moving ever so slowly. 2 to 4 inches in an hour is going to cause a problem for some of our streets, some of our creeks, and remember too, these areas of the valley are relatively flat, and you get that kind of rainfall in a short amount of time. It takes a little while for it to drain away, so avoid driving into any sort of flooding. You don't need to be finding yourself stranded, so that's another reasons why you want to be staying home in these situations, or staying put wherever you are, whether it's in a restaurant or a store or whatever. Stay put if you can until all of this passes through. Again, there is that flash flood warning that's in effect now until a little after 10 o'clock. The severe thunderstorm warning will continue until 8:30. That's about, another 10 minutes left. It's going to be interesting to see as all of this pushes slowly towards the south and east, if we see that extended at all. Again, it almost looks like some of it is becoming a little less severe in nature. The lightning strikes still quite a bit, but not quite as intense as they were, say, about an hour and a half ago or so. And we'll push through all of this and get a better view of where the rainfall activity is right now. Here's the lightning indicator again. A little more sparse in terms of the lightning indicator, more so in the areas of extreme eastern Hidalgo County, pushing its way into Willacy County. It's where we're seeing the most active lightning. Future radar shows how, all of that's going to be continuing to push on through the Weslaco area. You're going to be in the thick of it until at least 10:20, it looks like, but by then, most of the upper valley will be in the clear from this latest line of showers and thunderstorms. The latest look at our watches. And are getting an indicator now that, yes, on that TxDOT camera we were showing a little bit earlier in Weslaco, that those are indeed law enforcement officers that are responding to the situation there. And we know how some areas, not just in the main flood warning area, so many other areas of our valley tend to flood a little bit when you get 2 to 4 inches of rain in an hour or so. Okay, we do have some power outage numbers to report. Go ahead and show those. AEP is reporting 33,000 electrical outages right now in the valley, and Magic Valley another 29,000 in association with these thunderstorms that have been pushing through. And as they continue to push southeastward, we may start to see those begin to increase. Now remember, a lot of the crews aren't going to go out and immediately start to work on some of these if the dangerous weather situation is ongoing. They're going to wait for those hazards to pass before they start to do some of those repairs. So if your power just went out in the last hour, it may be another hour or so before some of the crews really get to those impacted areas. Yeah, they may drive into some of them, but they're not going to be able to effectively deal with some of the repairs until some of that lightning goes away, because the lightning will strike them just as much as it could strike you if you were out hoisted up on one of those power poles. We do have some fresh video coming in now from North McAllen. Yes, indeed, we do have some high water being indicated. This was a little bit before the sun started to set, and you can see this is around, it looks like right around, oh, I can't think of that's Trenton, and is that McCall? Yeah, that's Trenton McCall area, and that is one of the areas that's prone to see a little bit of standing water when you get that 2 to 4 inches of rain. And I would imagine there's probably some areas of 10th Street that also are looking pretty similar to that on into the far area. And this is probably what some areas of Weslaco and downtown are looking like as well, with some of the heavy thunderstorms that are falling. You don't need to be trying to drive through some of this. Some of the lower vehicles I could see really struggling with some of the water, especially if you can't see a curb along the street. You really shouldn't be driving through it unless you're in a higher profile type of vehicle. Even then, it's a little touch and go whether or not you want to be driving through some of that. While the radar is moving here, let me take another quick look at our computer in the Weather Center. I've been hearing a few more alerts coming in here in the last minute, and we want to make sure we're keeping you as up to date as we can. And it looks like the severe thunderstorm hang on just a moment. Trying to read while I'm also doing some of this. The severe thunderstorm warning is expiring now that we've been showing you, which is a good thing. Let me read a little further into this and see what we're dealing with still. It's still a strong storm, but it will be coming to an end. And hopefully we won't. Yes, they're just indicating they're going to continue to be strong thunderstorms, and thunderstorm cells will continue to be pushing through the area with winds gusting up to 50 miles per hour, which is still strong enough to knock out power as all of this pushes off to the south and east. The flood advisory will continue. They just updated that until 10:15. As is the flood warning until 10:15. Is that flood warning will continue. But again, that's what we would expect to see with some of the rainfall amounts that we've had that have been very intense indeed, with all of this thunderstorm activity that continues to make its way towards now the Harlingen area. It's pushing through the Weslaco area, some of the stronger rainfall amounts. McAllen, yeah, you're still getting some pretty heavy rain. Edinburgh, it looks like your rain, if it's not over yet, it's starting to taper off, at least for your areas. The indicators that we have, what qualifies as severe thunderstorms, is coming to an end, and so we're looking at that severe thunderstorm warning probably dropping off the map here in the next 5 minutes, but we're going to continue to see the flash flood warning in effect for this portion of central Hidalgo County, south central Hidalgo County, until 10:15 because of the heavy rainfall rates that we've seen. And that means, yeah, the flooding is ongoing. We just showed you the video from North McAllen indicating some of the water in the streets, and that's why we're dealing with a flash flood warning for that area that extends on over, it looks like, towards the Palmview area as well. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some more flooding issues as these strong thunderstorms continue to push towards the south and east. May not be severe, but when you're dealing with the heavy rainfall rates that we've been looking at, we're going to end up with some ponding of water in a few areas as well. Again, future radar shows the expected progression of things and slowly starting to down a little bit into the Harlingen area now, at least in future radar. The lightning indicator again shows how it's getting a little more spread out. We're not dealing with some of the smaller, intense, severe thunderstorm cells. They're still strong, and we're still going to catch quite a bit of lightning through the area. And so if there is lightning in the area, you still want to stay indoors. You don't want to be outside messing around with a lot of that stuff. all of it combined is kind of hard to judge, but you can tell that we're starting to see it letting up a little bit towards the end of this loop here. Not quite as intense as you head towards the McAllen area. Edinburgh too is starting to see their activities slowly coming to an end, but towards the eastern portions of Hidalgo County now on over to Westlago, probably the Progreso area is starting to get a little bit wet as well. Those folks are waiting to see the heavier rainfall amounts begin to arrive. The warning will be ending here in about another 4 minutes. The flash flood warning will continue until 10:15. Here at 8:30, when the flash or the severe thunderstorm warning officially ends, we'll probably bring this little bit of coverage of severe weather to an end. We're going to continue to, of course, monitor the situation, and if something gets reissued in terms of a severe thunderstorm warning, we will definitely come back on the air and walk you through it all once again. And as some of the watches and warnings get adjusted in terms of some of the flooding situations, we'll also continue those on our system of crawl alerts that you'll be seeing on the bottom of your screen throughout the evening, as long as those alerts are in place. And of course, we'll have the latest on everything during the 10 o'clock newscast this evening as well. Hopefully by then, all of it's over and done with. But in the meantime, yeah, we're going to continue to see some of that heavy rain and thunderstorm activity, strong in nature at this point. The severe stuff seems to be tapering off for now, and hopefully it will stay that way. Again, we're starting to lose the heating of the day that really helps to energize the thunderstorm activity. And so as we lose that, hopefully we'll start to see things begin to calm down just a little bit more as well. Plus, these thunderstorms have been intense enough, they've been really wringing a lot of the moisture out of the atmosphere, so there's not quite as much there for these storms to play with as there was when they started a couple of hours ago in the western part of the valley. Excuse me. As we look at the latest lightning indicator again, we're starting to see it broaden out a little bit more and becoming a little less intense in terms of the number of strikes. We were up around 11 to 1,300 strikes an hour. Now we're closer to 1,000, which is still a lot. And these are still active storms. And some of that activity is included with what we're seeing down in Mexico as well. So here in the valley, it's still, excuse me, very intense indeed. Let me get a quick sip of water here. And that is the latest look of future radar. And we'll push on through to the latest look at radar. We're fixing to bring this aspect of our coverage of the storms to a quick end here in just a matter of minutes. We're still seeing this severe thunderstorm warning is fixing to end. The flash flood warning will continue until 10:15. Again, stay indoors if you can, especially for the areas of Cameron County that have yet to see the rain beginning. We're going to continue to monitor things and update you as needed. I'm Craig Verley, forecaster for the Valley Storm Team. We'll be sure to keep you updated. Thanks for your patience.